Good evening, Tsupiteros. Welcome again to Pillow Talks. Did you guys miss me? It's been 3 weeks, I think, since I last did a session of Pillow Talks, and I just took a vacation for the last 3 weeks. But we're up and running again starting this week, and you can stay tuned again for Pillow Talks every week starting this weekend. So as always, we'll start off with trying to analyze the index. So let's get right to it. I'll show you my chart of the PHA index here. As you can see, we've been consolidating since mid-November. And if you plot the Bollinger Bands of the index right now, you'll notice that the bands have been contracting tighter and tighter in the last couple of days, no? This phase of the trend right now that we are in is sort of like where we were right here. Okay, so there's a big move that's coming up pretty soon in the market. I'm just not quite sure whether the big move is going to be up or down, but I'm a bit more bearish right now than bullish in the short term, simply because of seasonal factors. We are now in the middle of January, and we are now fast approaching the traditionally bearish February to April period. So I'm not quite bullish of the market at the moment. I believe that we might break below this consolidation that we are in right now, simply because of seasonal factors. Okay, of course, it doesn't help that it's been the third liners that have been moving in the market, and people haven't been minding anymore, or haven't been very interested anymore on the blue chips and in the second liners, no? So that in itself might be an indication that our market might be toppish in the short term. Okay, so don't get me wrong though, I am bullish for the year. I do believe that we're gonna see this market at around 8,500 to 9,000 by the end of the year. But at the moment, I think we might pull back a little bit from here, and this might actually be an opportunity for you to get into these big caps or second line issues. Okay, so if you do see a pullback in this market come February or March, then that should be an opportunity for us to get into this market at low prices. Okay, so but objectively speaking, watch 7,075 down or 7,350 up. So a break above or below those levels should trigger a trend in the market in the short term. Okay, so before I continue with my presentation, I'd like to thank one of my sponsors, APS Online. If you'd like to trade with a broker that has excellent research, do trade with APS Online. Okay, so because it's the speculative issues or the third liners that has been moving in the markets recently, and has been the darling of the markets recently, I will be talking about these current favorites of the market. Okay, I have a short PowerPoint presentation here for you. Okay, I'll be talking about 5 of the strongest and most active third liners recently, and these are MRC, APL, basic, PHA, and ABRA. Okay, so if you look at the table here in my PowerPoint, you will see here the market capitalizations of each and every stock. So AR being the lowest or the cheapest among these 5 issues at just 1 billion market cap, and APL being the most expensive or the highest among these issues at 84 billion market cap. Okay, I also did here a free float adjusted market cap, which means I simply multiplied the free float. What is the free float? The free float are the shares that are in the public's hands. Okay, so I simply multiplied the free float against the market cap, and you get this free float adjusted market cap. So you'll see now from a market cap of 1 billion, ABRA's free float market adjusted market cap is now just 743 million. But among these 5 issues, no, it is APL that has like a really low free float adjusted market cap versus its nominal market cap. No, from 84 billion, it's just now 9.8 billion. So that's the reason why it would seem that despite APL being already quite expensive at 84 billion market cap, that is the reason why it seems to be very light, you know, when it's trading in the market. You know, it can easily go up by 10%, it can easily go down by 10%. That's because the number of shares that are in the public's hands are only less than 12%. If you also notice, the listed shares are only 27 billion shares as against the total outstanding shares of 280 billion. Okay, unlike the other stocks, no, the other stocks like ABRA, basic, PHA, their free float is almost equal to their total outstanding shares. MRC's free float is about half of that of its outstanding shares. Okay, so of course, the lower the percentage of the free float, the lighter the stock is, because of course there's just a few shares that are circulating in the market. Okay, so again, the lightest among these 5 issues, of course, is still ABRA. Okay, at just 743 million market cap. Okay, and still, despite the very low free float of APL, it is still the most expensive stock in terms of free float adjusted market cap at 9.8 billion. Okay, so take note of those numbers. Okay, so what do they currently own in their balance sheet? Okay, so ABRA actually has 600 million worth of equipment. I think these are mining equipment, and 1.2 billion worth of deferred exploration costs. I'm not quite sure how the 1.2 I'm not quite sure how the deferred exploration costs have become an asset in their balance sheet, but they do consider it as an asset. Okay, so if you just consider those two numbers, then just in terms of its assets, ABRA is only worth 1.8 billion. Okay, if you're gonna be conservative about it and just use the equipment and disregard the deferred exploration costs, then the assets are only worth 600 million. Okay, MRC on the other hand have 560 million worth of real estate and 212 million worth of mining rights. Okay, so if you add the two, that would be about over 700 million amount of assets. Basic, on the other hand, have about 150 million worth of property in Pangasinan, and it has investments in a couple of Thailand companies engaged in engineering, procurement, and construction. The company is valuing these two companies at 200 million. So, if you add those two assets, then the asset of Basic would be about 350 million. PHA have about 3 billion worth of properties, but because they also have some debts and have some liabilities, their stockholders' equity comes out to about 1 billion pesos. And then APL has about 3 billion worth of mining properties or rights in Cagayan in its balance sheet. Okay, so if you compare the assets of these companies relative to its market cap, you will see that the market is currently pricing the company or the stock way above the value of their assets. Okay, so it's all froth, it's all speculation, it's all people are just making a bet that the company will be bigger in the future, maybe. Okay, so in terms of when I compare the assets versus the market cap of these companies, okay, you will see that AR is trading at 69% higher than the assets of its balance sheet. Okay, and APL is trading at a whopping 2,700% higher than the assets in its balance sheet. Okay? Of course, what I just described to you are numbers that describe its balance sheet right now. But of course, the market should be valuing the stock or the company based on its future or its future earnings. Okay? So, what is happening to these companies? Okay, like for example with AR, there is a rumor that it is being acquired. Okay, so if that is true, then the company should be worth at least 1 centavo or its par value. Okay, MRC on the other hand acquired 75% of Kerberos Corporation, which is a company that is into cybersecurity, electronic security, safety and building, management, auxiliary equipment, and system business. I'm not quite sure how to value that business of MRC, or how to value that acquisition of MRC, although it was stated that Kerberos will be increasing its authorized capital stock to 300 million. So maybe at most, maybe the company is maybe worth 300 million. Okay, Basic on the other hand was M2D2 acquired 67% of Basic at 0.28285 per share out of the increase in its authorized capital stock from 2.5 to 5 billion. Okay, this company, M2DC, is owned by the Villavicencio family, and of course there's now speculation that maybe the Villavicencio family may use Basic as a backdoor for one of their companies, such as Flying V or Phil Oil. Okay, and then with regards to PHA, the subscription of 2.8 billion shares at 0.33 per shares in exchange for Squid Pay technology. Okay, and then with regards to Apple APL is actually not a backdoor play. It's more of a mining play, and it was reported that they may commence extraction of magnetite iron reserves soon in their mining property in Cagayan. Okay, so I have here in this table an updated market cap, okay, based on the projected increase or issuances of shares of the company. So with regards to Basic, from 2.8 billion shares, Basic's shares will increase to 14 almost 14.5 billion. So at 14.5 billion shares, that will now have a market cap of 20 billion from 4 billion. Okay, PHA on the other hand will increase its outstanding shares from 2.2 billion shares to 5.1 billion shares, and its updated market cap at current levels is now at 14.7 billion market cap. Okay, so let's talk about it one by one. Okay, so first let's look at Abra. It's the speculation again is that somebody wants to acquire Abra. There are rumors that Mr. Singson, there are rumors that maybe Big Boy is interested. They're all just rumors at the moment, okay? And the thing is, you cannot acquire a company below its par value, okay? So, and the par value of Abra is 1 centavo per share. So it's currently trading at, just half that number. So as long as the rumor is true, then who knows? This can actually go to 1 centavo if the rumor is true. Okay, and because it only has a market cap of 1 billion, then it's not at 1 centavo. It won't be impossible for it to go to 2 billion market cap. MRC on the other hand, has acquired shares in Kerberos, and I'm not quite sure if the company stated how much they are going to acquire Kerberos, but they did say that they are going to acquire 250 million shares. It was also reported that Kerberos will be increasing its authorized capital stock to 300 million pesos. So I can just presume that the company is probably worth 300 million. So the current market cap of MRC is now 6.4 billion. So it's trading way above the value of Kerberos, which is who knows, maybe about 300 million. Okay, Basic on the other hand was again acquired by a group of Villavicencio, and the speculation is that Phil Oil or Flying V may use Basic to backdoor these companies, okay? And then you have PHA, which was already, which will be infused into, there's Squid Pay, which will be infused in PHA via share swap for how many shares is this? About 9 billion shares or more. Okay, so the question now is, at the current level of the market cap of PHA, which is 14.7 billion, is it justified? Is the value of Squid Pay justified at 14.7 billion. Okay, for it to be justified, Squid Pay should be able to make about 750 million a year. Okay, and then finally we have APL, which has a current market cap of 84 billion. Okay, just to just for comparison, at the height of Felix in 2011, Felix made 5 billion that year, and the market value of PX went as high as 140 billion. APL, on the other hand, is already trading at 84 billion market cap and has yet to even, prove that it can make money. I think they'll be lucky if, if they can even make, 1 billion a year. If let's say, okay, then let's just presume that APL can make 1 billion a year, then let's put a market cap valuation of times 20, which is 20 billion. Then, even at an earnings capacity of 1 billion a year, APL is trading at way above its fair value. Okay, this next slide that I'd like to show you is a drawing that I did, and it shows the cycle of these backdoor listing plays. Okay, so there normally is a phase wherein prices go up because people are speculating on what's gonna happen to the company. And it's normally the phase wherein you see the biggest price increases in the stock. When everybody's guessing and everybody's trying to make a bet and speculate on what's going to happen to the company, okay, that's where the biggest price movements occur on the upside, okay? And that's what you're seeing on all these stocks right now. They are all on the speculation phases, okay? And then at some point, the company will be issuing shares in exchange for the infusion of the assets. Okay, so maybe, for example, if it's true that the Villavicencio family will be infusing one of their companies, like for example, Phil Oil, into Basic, then the company will need to issue a lot of shares in exchange for Phil Oil. Okay, so it is during this period when the company starts issuing shares for the assets when the stock starts going down. Okay, so what happens now is that the cat is now out of the bag, and everything that that was unknown before is now known to everybody. Okay, when that happens, when there is no more speculation, when you already know for sure what's going to happen in the company, okay, that's when you ought to be scared, and that's the time when the stock starts to go down. Okay, and of course at some point it will level off at it might trade higher than where it was before, but it will not likely go back to the highs that it was in during the speculation phase. Okay, so at this point, the company's capital structure is now final. All the shares that need to be issued have already been issued. The assets have already been infused, and the company is now trying to make money out of these assets. So this phase of the stock is here in the finalization of the capital structure. Okay, so the way I see it, MRC, PHA, and APL are all at the peak. They're just too high. They're at the peak of their cycle right now. Basic is also at a high level, but I think might still continue to go higher from this point on. And Abra is in terms of cycle, because it's still just a rumor and there hasn't been really any solid news yet on Abra. It's still below where the levels of basic or MRC or PHA are in. Okay, so yes, obviously you would know that I'm bearish on these stocks. I'm more bearish on MRC, PHA, and APL than basic or AR. So here are my recommendations. I have a hold recommendation for AR. I have a hold / take profits on strength recommendation on basic. I have a take profits recommendation on MRC and PHA. And I have an avoid recommendation on APL. So that's it, guys. I hope you learned something from me today. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to give you any recommendations for this weekend, because everything is just quite high at the moment. I hope that maybe next week I can give you some ideas on where to make money from this market. But stay tuned again for next week. So see you. Bye, guys.